have ditched the visa, we are still clinging onto the visa. The fellow who partitioned Africa under the leadership of some fellow called Otto von Bismarck in some room in Berlin many years ago in 1886, okay? They're still pulling their strings, and even you are identifying yourself by their tags. And when I talk about mind shift, it's about liberating our minds from those tags. I tell you, young people, I was in a conference someplace in the world. It was a conference of ministers. I was horrified to see an African minister stand in that conference and say, this one is not possible in Africa. And his mindset that was that really the rest of the world is able to do this, but in Africa we are not ready to do this. I was horrified by an African policymaker, an African leader who still believes the neo-colonial thinking that Africans cannot do certain things. You young people, you must break free from that thinking. There is nothing another race can do that an African cannot do. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Zero. Do not put a race tag on the ability of this continent to do things. And let us promote our languages. Swahili as a language is spoken by over 200 million people already. It's the lingua franca for the East African community. The East African community is a community now of 8 countries with over 400 million people. It is already an African Union language. I'm so happy that countries like South Africa is now offering Swahili as a language. How can the Chinese be learning Swahili and you in Zimbabwe or Mozambique or Botswana, you're not learning Swahili, and the Chinese are learning Swahili? The Chinese are running Swahili language programs on TV, on radio, because they have realized the power of penetrating a people through what? A language. So let us promote our African languages. And those languages that are already cross-border, those languages that are already borderless, like Swahili, send this language to a level where it can start becoming our glue to connect, so that someday we will only need this when we are in a place where people are not speaking our African languages. But we'll be very comfortable in speaking to each other in Swahili, in Fulani, in Amharic, and other African languages. Let us take pride in having these languages offered in our schools and in our colleges. Let us start getting our leaders go to the United Nations and deliver speeches in Swahili. Let other people look for these things. What is wrong with an African president going to the United Nations and addressing the world in Swahili? Sometimes I watch my athletes, Kenyan athletes. They beat the world every day. Kenyan athletes are always setting world records. So you see a Kenyan athlete, she has just run a marathon, broken the world record. Then some foreign journalist places a microphone in front of her, and she starts struggling to speak in Swahili. And I'm like, come on, girl, speak Swahili. Let the journalist look for other ways to understand what you're saying. Speak Swahili. And if you are Kalenjin, speak Kalenjin. If you are Luya, speak Luya. If you are Nyarwanda, speak Kinyarwanda. And let that journalist go look for interpretation. Because you'll find Russians speaking Russian. Unapologetically. So why are you apologetic speaking your language? Are you hearing me? Do you get the mind shift we must make? That you judge each other's intelligence by how well they speak English. You say, oh, this guy is so cool because they speak such good English. Drop it. start judging each other by how well you can speak Kinyarwanda and Kiswahili. I want to learn a bit of that, Grace, before we leave here. Now, bottom line as we close, we must do things together. We must build our products. We must synergize our efforts. And above all, in the spirit of African Renaissance, we must take pride in our Africanicity. We must take pride in what makes us a people. And for Youth Connekt moving forward, we must make sure that after every Youth Connekt summit, starting with this 6th one, we have a product that we will celebrate at the next one. Something that is solid, something that is substantive. For instance, why can't Youth Connekt come up with a Creatives Award program which will reward the best upcoming African artists every year at every Youth Connekt summit? And it is something which Kenya would be very happy to ignite and even to help mobilize resources around. Okay? And we have an African-wide competition leading up to the next Youth Connekt Summit. And you know you are coming to Youth Connekt if you are a creative, you are a musician, you are in the film industry, you are in theater, you know Youth Connekt will have a reward platform where you can showcase your talent and you will be exposed to the world and will put some serious money in your pocket. And